Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a senior strategist at the advertising agency Buzzman in Paris, and I'm here to talk about creative effectiveness and more precisely of a campaign called True ID Card that we've done with the NYX team in Paris. This intervention has been pre-recorded as I'm currently in holiday, so at the moment you will be seeing this video, I will be drinking my little espresso in Italy. So sorry for not being here, but I hope you will like it. So this presentation is called How Creativity and Effectiveness Are Two Sides of the Same Coin, because in marketing, we tend to oppose creativity and effectiveness, what's cool, what's interesting, and what's effective and drives business. And at Buzzman, we believe it's quite nonsense to oppose both because they work together and one brings the other. As a demonstration of that, we are seen and we call ourselves creative, and we've been awarded with creative recognition for years, more than 10 years. We have been named most French creative agency of the year, etc. Yet, as a creative agency, we don't treat creative as the end goal in itself. We are not passionate about creativity for the sake of creativity, just because it's fun, just because it's cool. In fact, we see creativity as a weapon, as quite a defense mechanism that allows us to seek people's attention, to create meaningful difference, and to drive brand value that will allow business results and success. So we are a creative agency, but what we seek in reality is effectiveness. And that's why we love the Effies that much. That's our favorite creative awards, I would say, or awards. And we've been extremely effective for these awards. We've won 33 Effies in 10 years. We've been named Effie Agency of the Year in France 3 times, and we've won 4 Effie Grand Prix. And I think that's the proof that we're not just here just for creativity, but we're here to have real business impact through creativity. And that all comes down to our motto, our strong belief, which is that advertising is unwanted. And it's like when you crash party, when you come to a party where nobody invited you. When you are not wanted, you have to do something more because you have quite of a depth. And in our case, it's a depth of attention. And so you have to bring what we call champagne. You have to do something that will make people like you even though they didn't invite you. They didn't invite you in their TV. They didn't invite you in your Instagram feed, in your car radio. And so if you're not invited, you have to bring a present, and champagne is quite a great present. So we always try to bring this champagne to build attention and to create value for the brands where nobody wants to hear what they have to say usually. And one of the demonstrations that we could use is a campaign that we did in collaboration with L'Oréal 2 years ago in 2023 for NYX, a campaign called True ID Card. And so first, I will let you watch the case study video, and then we will deep dive in the backstage, I would say, and see how we came to making this campaign and its results.
Quand je suis allée déposer mon dossier de changement d'état civil, j'ai l'impression que c'était un sketch, quoi.
Parce que le fait de ne pas avoir une carte d'identité qui était conforme à ma tête.
Pourquoi en France c'est aussi difficile de changer ce papier d'identité? On est en retard.
Déferlement de haine après la victoire de Bilal Hassani.
Vous recevez en moyenne 10 insultes homophobes par minute.
Non conforme.
Ok, j'avoue.
Conforme.
La True ID Card.
J'aimerais trop que ce soit ma vraie carte d'identité.
Oh my god! C'est amazing!
c'est une carte d'identité qui nous ressemble.
Ça me fait énormément penser à toutes les personnes trans, non-binaires, queer de manière générale et toutes les personnes qui se sentent pas conformes aux normes de la société.
So, how did we get there? First, our way to work is always to start with the business and the brand context and to know where we are and what we want to achieve. And so when we met the NYX team in Paris in August 2023, we had a long conversation about what the brand stands for, what the brand offers, what's its core, but also where's the business going. And so what we learned is that the brand came in France in 2016 and had a huge growth for the first years. Yet, in 2023, the brand has quite plateaued, both in terms of brand metrics, such as awareness, but also in terms of sales. So the dynamic was less amazing, I would say, than it used to be. And so we had to shift the situation and to find a new way to help this brand grow, both in terms of brand metrics, but also in terms of business. And when we went to see how the market was going, how the makeup category was doing, it was really interesting because we saw quite of a polarization. The category as a whole, and you may know it even more than I do, was quite declining at that moment. Maybe it's because of the COVID 3 years earlier, but people tend to spend more on skincare or to adopt more of a no makeup or nude trend or way to use makeup. So that was the macro, I would say, trend. Yet what we saw and what was really interesting is that on the other hand, you had young, quite over consumers, makeup addicts, that despite being minor, despite being a smaller target group, were really driving the category. They were spending a lot for different products, but also there were clients and consumers of many more brands than other people that were a bit older and that were more on this nude or more skincare-driven trend. And so we saw a strategic opportunity with this target audience. We saw the opportunity to become their absolute reference, a kind of symbolic brand that is going to know them way more than other brands and which will relate to them more than any other brand. It was interesting both in terms of frequency, because being a brand that they love is being a brand that they want to buy more stuff and more frequently than other ones, but also in terms of penetration, reaching other consumers that share the same traits as those consumers. So building preference, being a symbolic brand, quite a love brand, I would say, that understand them more than any other brand, is a way to boost frequency, but also penetration. So becoming the brand that knows them best. So we went looking for the differences between those younger consumers, less under than 25 years old, makeup addicts, and comparing them with other makeup consumers. And we used a study from Kantar that was really interesting because there was one question that was quite key in our thinking, which was, I feel more like myself when I wear makeup. This affirmation was not shared by the most of the consumers, of makeup consumers, but it was agreed by 64% of the under 25 makeup group consumers, and even more, we had 74% of NYX consumers agreeing with this. And more than just those 64 or 74%, it's the index that it interests us a lot because it was the most discriminating question and factor between our target group and the rest of the makeup population in France. So this was the question that polarized the most between the people we want to talk to and we want to relate to and the whole category and the all consumers of makeup. So that's what's really interesting because if you want to be relatable to someone, you have to accept that other people will not relate to what you are talking about. And when we started with this data, in fact, it brought to us a strong trend, a strong insight towards our relationship to makeup and how it's changing from one generation to the other. That's what a sociologist and ethnologist, French ethnologist Michel Mézu, says in one of his essays, which is this is a profound trend in our society. What we ask of our hair and makeup today is no longer to say who we are in relation to our social group, but to show the person we are in our intimacy as a revelation of identity. People are looking to their hair and makeup to reflect who they think they are in their innermost selves. And that's really important because it's a shift in generation and a shift between our era and how we used to see makeup and other generation used to see makeup in the past. And that's also confirmed by many testimonials. There is one from an artist who's called Alex Dauphin. And what Alex says is, for me, applying makeup isn't about putting on a mask, it's about taking one off. That's really interesting because it's kind of the opposite of what we could think of what other generation used to think about makeup. And that was the strategic foundation of our work. While makeup has been seen for decades and years as a tool to disguise, to camouflage, to hide, to correct, we had the opportunity to reveal that for some people, and the people we target, it's a tool that can allow you to look like yourself and to reveal your true identity. And this was our single-minded path that we wanted to take and to give to the creative for them to transform in Champagne, in an attention-grabbing campaign that will move people. And that's what we did with the creative by hacking the greatest symbol of identity there is, which is the ID card. And in France, ID card, when you do your picture for your ID card, you cannot use makeup as you would like to. It's really restricted. So we created this fake ID card that never felt so real, because on this card, you can finally look like your true self and reveal your true identity. So that's the object that encapsulates all the idea of the campaign, but of course, you have to orchestrate it in a way that is going to make it both meaningful, but also noisy. And so we went for an orchestration that will allow us to make a lot of noise, starting with influencers changing their profile pictures on TikTok and Instagram, creating a lot of buzz and questions by the audience, posting on our social media, on the NYX social media account, mugshots that didn't feel like the brand at all, creating also a lot of questions within our audience, and then 3 days later, revealing the campaign with Bilal Hassani, someone embodying what we are talking about identity and feeling like your true self. And so we had Bilal in this moving film that revealed the campaign and that led directly to the online experience where you could create your true ID card. And at the end of the campaign, we had also different testimonials building on that relation towards makeup and identity and asking different persons how they felt about the campaign, but also about makeup and identity and their true selves. As a result, the campaign exceeded all our expectation in terms of KPI, not just in terms of campaign KPI. Of course, we had million views, and even in the first 24 hours, it was crazy. We had a lot of impression, we had a huge reach, but also we had a lot of engagement, because the engagement rate was 4 times the usual engagement reach of NYX, but also we had a lot of reactions, people being really moved about the campaign. We had a lot of people connecting themselves to the web experience, and we had even 22,000 people creating their true ID cards. This was huge, but it also had an impact, a direct impact on the brand, driving brand awareness and familiarity. And it also had an impact on sales, even though this campaign didn't have a performance side really dedicated to it. But it was in December, a really crucial month, and it helped sales at this moment. And if we compare it to December 2022, the year before, it was 20% more in terms of total sale, even though the year before, the campaign in December was a partnership with the movie Avatar, so huge partnership that was really a good idea at that time, but we even overachieved what this partnership did at that moment. And also, a little fun fact, well, more than a fun fact, it's quite meaningful. The campaign ended up in a museum, in Le Musée des Arts Déco, during almost 1 year to portray how this generation changes from the previous one and their relation to identity. So proving this campaign was not just creative, but it also had a lot of sense and people could relate to, and it said something about our society and our relation to identity. So I think this campaign is a proof that creativity has an impact, being bold, different, impactful, uncompromising, seeking attention through creative work is the most effective way, the most effective path towards business results. This is just one example, but I think the 17 years of the agency have also proven that being creative is not risky at all. In fact, it's a defense mechanism towards achieving something greater. So I hope you liked it. I would have loved to hear your questions, but as I am currently in Italy, I won't be able to answer yet. I'd be very happy if you want to send them to me by email. So my email is quite simple. It's alex@buzzman.tv, and I will be really glad to answer your questions, and I hope you like it. So have a nice morning, and see you maybe around the brief next time. Bye.